Wow. I have spent the last number of videos explaining the biblical apocalyptic signs I see and giving my evidence for them. Today I want to put them all together and connect the dots. I'll put them together in both biblical categories and cultural flows, and I really, sincerely will be glad to hear what you think. You see, there are several elements that are on the rise, and they will continue to. Now, the first, I believe, is climate chaos, the extreme heat, destructive wildfires, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and even volcanoes will continue on their record-setting path. Jesus said this would happen as a precursor to the end, and we are seeing it now. Joel 2 says such things could even be the judgment of God on America, Canada, and Europe. Why us instead of, say, China, Russia, North Korea, or Iran? Because in the Old Testament and the New, a lot of God's judgment is directed specifically against the religious hypocrites, those who had rejected the truth, who had the truth, and rejected it. I can give you Bible texts for that. Okay, my second crisis that's on the rise is military tensions. You know, I believe that Iran and North Korea will both acquire nuclear capabilities, greatly destabilizing the very tenuous political balancing act going on right now. Meanwhile, China and Russia will strengthen their alliance that they have formed. NATO and America, along with Russia, will continue to deplete their munitions and military equipment inventories in the cities and grain fields of Ukraine, leaving the West ill-equipped to weather a major war, which is on the horizon. The countries of the world are a tinderbox of political and military tension, very similar to the lead-up to other major wars, such as the American Civil War and World War I in particular. The third crisis that's rising is cultural tensions. America is frothing in an ideological civil war between pro-life and pro-choice, conservative versus liberal, sanity versus leftism, science versus transgenderism, secularism versus religion, rationality versus CRT, DEI, ESG, and LGBTQ. These cultural clashes will increase and intensify. The prosecution and persecution of Christians that has been going on for 20 years will rise in Europe, Canada, and the US, and most of it will be over the LGBT rights, as it has been for the past 20 years. I believe that America is the whore of Babylon in Revelation 17, that LGBT is the Antichrist, the blasphemous religion of Revelation 13, and pride is her false church. Christians are being prosecuted and legislated against, being labeled as homophobic, hate mongers, domestic terrorists, and a danger to humanity because we won't worship the beast of LGBT. The fourth crisis that's on the rise is technological tensions. There are many experts who say that AI will bring about the destruction of humanity. Now, is that hyperbole, or is it an accurate warning? AI technology is paving the way for government or corporate control over humanity. Speaking of which, the fifth rising crisis is political hubris and aggression. The way is being paved for a one-world government, a new world order, governed by a cabal of powerful leaders, institutions, and businesses. The push towards digital currency and digital IDs are moving us already in that same direction. This is in Revelation 13, 1-7. The global elites like the IMF, the WHO, various presidents, the Pope, UN economic elites like Zuckerberg and Bezos, along with Big Pharma, they're all conspiring to consolidate wealth and power. It requires factors like getting rid of freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of religion, along with controlling the press, creating chaos in society, changing definitions of words, and shutting down opposing ideas. All this is happening now. These are the events and tensions we will be seeing for the next year in a crescendo of incidents and prevalence. Then sometime in 2024, the dam will break, possibly because the Democrats refuse to impeach an obviously guilty Joe Biden, and perhaps because Americans will just get fed up with the two-tier justice system, a completely one-sided information flow, woke ideology being shoved down their throats, defunding the police and the chaos that has caused, and a completely porous southern border. There will be an uprising, a revolution, yes, in the United States. It will be not only in back-to-back confrontational protests, as we already see happening in the streets at times, but it will also ignite into actual violence. The military will be called out, martial law will be enacted, and it'll be both ugly and violent. In the US, Canada, and Europe, most of the battle lines will be for LGBT rights. They will take truly blasphemous stands, as we are already seeing, and use the power of government, media, apostate religion, and education to persecute Christians, as we're already seeing. There will be violence. This is in Revelation 13. Seeing that the time is right, based on what's happening in the West, China will choose this window of opportunity to invade Taiwan. Iran will invade Israel, and Russia will invade Europe. The world will suddenly be at war. The U.S. will be trying to engage on all three fronts. Very possibly, and predictably, as some are predicting, China will attack the U.S. mainland. Some of the events of Revelation 8 will come true in this time. Very possibly, and what I predict is America will fall, Israel will fall, and Europe will fall. Then the period we know as the tribulation will begin. The cabal of elites will establish the one world government and the new world order. We will see the prophecies of Revelation 6, 13, 18, and 19, and the era of lawlessness of 2 Thessalonians 2 come about. Now, much of what I have said is already happening. There's evidence of its truth. My predictions of what is coming are based on assembling what others are also saying, as well as following the trajectory of the flow that I see happening around the world, in the news, in the culture. But I'm not a prophet. I'm a student of the Bible who is analyzing the news and the cultural situation, making observations and connecting the dots. I've said before, I have not received the word of the Lord on this. I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. I would love to be wrong, but I wouldn't stick out my neck like this and make this video if I didn't think there was something valid in these thoughts and observations. I'd be really curious to hear your responses. Really, seriously, let's talk about what you think of all this.